We are going to try something different with today's podcast episode, friends. So, you may not know this, but I go to a lot of trouble to script out the episodes because I find that I'm not a very good freestyler. It makes me more comfortable when I plan what I have to say in advance. But today, because I've spent the whole day proofreading my book, the Watkins Book of African Folklore, which comes out next year on March 11th, I don't have the energy to really put down the thoughts I have about what I want to talk about today. So I'm just going to freestyle it. And we're just going to shoot the breeze, like they say, chit chat. So stick around and let's see what emerges from this episode. Hello, friends, and welcome to the Mythological Africans podcast, where we read and talk about stories from African mythology and folklore. I am your host, Helen Nde. The first thing I'm going to say is that if you hear meowing in the background, that's my cat Estrella. She is very demanding and she makes no hesitation about letting everyone know how she feels. If you've heard a cat meow in the background of my episodes before, odds are it is Estrella. And I think I've posted a picture of my cats before somewhere in the MA World Check Substack or Twitter. I'm sure she's the black one. And she's really cute, but she can be really annoying. Anyway, so today and for the last couple of weeks, in between recording episodes and some major life updates, I have been proofreading my book, The Watkins Book of African Folklore, which you should know about by now. If you don't know, then there is a link in the episode notes about it. And this is a book about folklore from the African continent, as the title suggests. And it will be published next year, March 11th. And I'm pretty excited about this one. I wrote about it in a podcast episode, or I spoke about it in a podcast episode from a couple of months ago. This is the MA book, you guys. It's a culmination of all the conversations and stories and explorations we've had about folklore from the African continent since I started MA in 2020. And I'm staying away from, active posting on social media. So I'm not on there talking about the book a lot. But if you subscribe to this, to Mythological Africans on Substack, then you are pretty much probably sick and tired of hearing me talk about it. But I'm really excited about it. And every time I proofread it, of course, there is something I have to change and ways I can tweak it to make it better. This is the third round of proofing that has happened. And there are still a couple of things I think I could make better, things I could explain better, but I think so far so good. And my editors agree so far, so there. What can I say? There will be events planned around the book next year. And you can expect some updates about that on my website. I still need to figure out a way to set up so you can get updates directly from my personal website. But your best way to get updates about this book remains the MA podcast. You can subscribe here and you'll receive a newsletter at the end of each month, which reminds me I have to write the October newsletter. And of course, the Sunday podcast episodes. But the book, I like it. I have to say, I really like it. I think it really brings together the different aspects of African folklore, which make it really exciting. There are the foundation legends and creation myths, which I'm really excited about because speaking for myself, growing up, I only really heard the Genesis story. That was the only foundation myth I'd ever heard about until I started reading mythology and folklore from other parts of the world. And it wasn't really until I started curating MA or started thinking about curating a space for African mythology and folklore that I actually started reading other African creation myths. And it's been an education, I have to say, because, the Genesis story is so dominated by the fall of man. And what has been great to experience reading these myths from the African continent has been seeing other perspectives about creation, seeing how they align with creation accounts from other parts of the world, and especially seeing stories where women are not the cause of everything that goes wrong in the world. The Genesis account is really dominated by that theme. And we explored some of this in the last couple of episodes where we looked at foundation legends from different African people. And for sure, there are many stories in which women, through their actions or lack of action, cause some great, terrible thing to happen to humans. But there are many African creation accounts where women are not the cause of everything that goes wrong. And if you are interested in African creation accounts, the one book I can recommend for that is the book by, I believe it is Stephen Belcher. Again, I'm not scripting this episode, guys, so chatting as it were. Stephen Belcher. Yes, Stephen Belcher, African Myths of Origin. It was published in 2005, and it's a pretty comprehensive compilation of creation myths from around the African continent. So that part I was really excited about. And then the foundation legends also are pretty cool because you really get to understand the dynamics of different African populations, the migrations and conflicts that led to people being who they are as we know them. The other part of the book involves human institutions and relationships. And this part was fun because it really digs into how societies shape themselves. And a lot of these stories feature the romances, the arguments, the fights, the alliances, and the different motivations that, forge the human societies as we know them on the African continent. I have some favorites. And without giving a lot away, there are really a couple from many North African countries that I really enjoyed. So I'm sorry, you guys can probably hear Estrella in the background just being a mess as usual. And then, of course, there's a section on animal tales, which features some creatures that you probably have not heard about before, like the hedgehog. I'm really excited about the hedgehog stories because before I even started writing this book, I had no clue how big hedgehogs were in the folklore of Northern African people. And it was really fun just digging into all of that. So I don't want to make this too long of an episode. I try to keep MA podcast episodes between 7 and 10 minutes, at most 15 if I'm pushing it 20 minutes these days, because I know there's so much out there that people listen to and people are thinking about. And my God, this week has been one for the books. But hey, wherever you are, whatever you have going on, please remember, you probably do if you read myths and folklore, that times as we are in are not new to the human race. There have been upheavals, there have been upsets, there have been situations where things didn't go as planned, and it seemed as if some great darkness has descended upon the land. And what you usually find, especially when you read the old stories, the myths and the folklore, is that each circumstance that humans find themselves in is an opportunity for us as a species, as a community, to discover new things about ourselves, to find new ways of being. And I really think that that's what the world as we're experiencing it now is calling for, to say that there is a lot about how we have structured our societies. Well, no matter what, political framework you're looking at things from, there's a lot about how we have structured our societies, our communities, and our relationships, which just is not working anymore, especially when you think about it in relation to the planet that we inhabit. So maybe, just maybe, this time is an invitation to revisit these relationships and see how we can do things differently. So wherever you are, whatever you have going on, please take care of yourself. Please take care of the people you care about, the communities you care about, and know that MA Mythological Africans is, for as long as I can keep it going to be here with the old stories and the old perspectives from the African continent, and we're going to find ways to keep it as fun as possible. So what to expect in November? This is the second episode of this month. Yeah, So, what to expect? I still need to do the October newsletter, which will be a summary of what we had going on in October. And this is the final quarter of 2024, so you can expect the final installation of our ongoing series about neck rings in African culture and more myths and folklore from the African continent, as is what we do around here. So, you folks, please take care of yourselves, love on your people, as I always say, and I will see you next week. Bye. Thank you for listening.